Have you ever thought of a fantastic idea to create a project, rehearse playing an instrument on a big stage, or being told to be good at solving logic tasks? Now, how many times did you actually bring your strength up to reality? Think of what has stopped you. Did you know that if we were to collect all these overdoubted decisions in stories, there could probably be a couple of billions of unopened libraries? However, you're not alone. I also had my own overdusted shelf. In my 10th grade, I was studying neurobiology and wrote a post about brain reward system. However, my hands were shaking when I tried to tap the share button on social media. My anxious side of the brain could not stop consuming me with repeated thoughts. Nobody needs this information. I'm not knowledgeable enough to talk about it. So the world didn't see this post for a long while. I was going to polish the text, try to add more research data. 1 year passed, and the text was still collecting dust in my notes. Later, I took the first imperfect action and gave an offline speech about the topic of my post. 15 people were now listening to me about mental development, and at the end of the event, a girl came to me with the first personal feedback. For a moment, I gazed in fear. I thought, this is it. She probably noticed how I wandered with my eyes, or maybe didn't clearly understand the second slide. Maybe I still left some questions unanswered, since my knowledge was weak. She came and complimented my presentation skills and asked me why I did a major in psychology. I was still at high school then. Then another person took notes from the lecture and thanked me, advising me to pursue these approachable ideas. I left the building still in shock, but with more bravery. I was proud that my efforts actually mattered and could bring some value to others, even though I had perceived them ordinary. Although I could not help but wonder, why was I actually feeling so worthless when others could admire and learn from my background? How many similar stories are still undeveloped there? Mostly the potential lies deep in the unopened libraries, those that hold stories of overdoubted decisions and untouched ideas. Billions of similar books fall into the dust because of the imposter syndrome. It is a psychological pattern that involves persistent self-doubt and a fear of being exposed as a fraud, even despite objective achievements. First of all, imposter syndrome involves avoidance of future outcomes. Surprisingly, not only negative ones, but positive ones too. Risk of failure means loss of time, money, or reputation. If I fail, everyone will see that I'm wrong and incapable. It means showing vulnerability to the world. Even if it's 3 people you talk to, you show ambitious intentions while being too unsure about them. Always expecting negative outcomes either underestimates your skills or stops you from doing anything at all. But another case is even more interesting. What happens if you do succeed? Well, my great congratulations, and it's a very meaningful step for you. However, so is for our anxious mind. Success requires higher responsibility, more expectations, and in this environment, your brain needs to adapt to a new level, regularly following new behaviors, giving up to old beliefs, maybe trying to build inconvenient habits. So it prevents you from the discomfort that might happen in the future. Basically, despite how controversial it sounds, you're not necessarily afraid of failure, but what is going to happen if you do it. And usually our brain is just too lazy to deal with it, so it's easier not to expose yourself to the world with uncertainty. Then imposter syndrome logically flows into another problem, learned helplessness. And I consider this way more dangerous as it is quieter and heavier. When a person repeatedly has faced situations when their actions didn't change the outcome, the mind gets assured. Actions do not matter, I'm not capable. These conclusions form a solid foundation, just like the roots of a tree. What makes it especially devious is that the environment may have changed, but the belief hasn't. Opportunities can appear, conditions can improve, but the person is still limited within a learned prediction. The way out, then, isn't motivation or confidence in the usual sense. It needs the contradiction of learned helplessness. Yet, over and over, the skills remain untouched and left behind, just like these old stickers in your childhood that you have never used. Many talents are probably still hiding within each of you, but the fear and doubt will take the most precious from you, your dreams and opportunities. Years later, the biggest pain won't come from the failures you encountered, but from the chances you never gave to yourself. Now, think of one thing that you do easily, but others consider difficult. You can even ask your friend or a family member, what do you think my superpower is? Your talent may seem ordinary to you, but for others is your authentic strength. Now you're on the first stage to tackle learned helplessness, since when you acknowledge the superpower in your pocket, it's easier to face challenges. Now, when your idea is somehow clear, don't drown into elaboration. Please don't polish for 1 year like I did with my post. Try challenging yourself with 15 minutes daily tasks. They should not require big efforts, but focus on vital few things that you can do easily even on the busiest day and still move forward to your goal. For instance, if you want to learn a foreign language, your first day task could be to take a short level test, then gather grammar materials, and learn 5 words on a certain topic. The goal here is not to become perfect at something, but to start building regularity. When you every day mark completed tasks in your to-do list, it creates assurance that you are actually developing in your field. And it's enough to stop postponing for a better version and start associating yourself with the thing you do daily. This way, you don't immediately dive into risk so dramatically, but still improve on your path. Your ideas are not meant to stay hidden. They are meant to be shared, tested, and shaped in the real world. So, after this talk, the question is simple. Will your talent stay unseen, or will you finally give it a chance to matter?